Hello, my name is Edwin Garcia and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing a piano buyer's guide. So what's this buyer's guide going to be for? For beginners or someone who is buying maybe their second piano and haven't bought one in a while. So it should be really helpful to kind of break down the tiers of the kind of pianos you can purchase and at what price points. Okay, in my opinion, there's about 4 different tiers in terms of price points that are important to think about when you're purchasing a piano. Buying a piano, especially for the first time, can be very intimidating. You're not sure what you need. You don't want to spend too much, especially if you're a little worried about how long will I do this. I'm just interested, right? Or you don't want to spend too little and end up getting something that's terrible, and then that turns you off from trying to buy it again. So it can be very intimidating walking into a Sam Guitar Center. I think those stores are great, by the way. They really help people, but you know, I've seen the looks on people's faces when they're like, I don't know, I don't even want to ask for help because I don't know anything. So hopefully watching this video makes you a little more informed. If you have to go into those stores, you can kind of have an idea of what you want and let them know to help you, or even just know what you want and you can just go pick it up yourself after watching this. So to me, there's about 4 different tiers of price points you need to think about when you're buying a piano. So I'll run through them really quickly and give you a little more detail right after. So first one is to be around the $100 range. That's going to get you something that's not as advanced, but there are some actual good pianos around that $150 range. So $150. The next kind of price point I think you need to consider is around that $400 or $500. Right, you're gonna get more for that. And then the next one would be around that $600 to $800. And then after that, I think would be $1,000 or more. So again, hopefully you fall into one of those categories, and I'm going to help you find the piano, and we're going to talk about what the pros and cons of each category are. Okay, so let's start with the first category. So $100 piano. So $100 piano, the pro is it's not that much money compared to what you could spend, right? The money can get ridiculous. You can buy a $30,000 Steinway, right? So 100 is really nice because you can probably figure that out soon, next week or two, if you don't even have it already. So it's a pretty low price point. The positive is you get a piano, especially for a beginner. I definitely recommend if you're a little apprehensive and you're like, I don't know, I want to kind of get started, but I'm not sure. 100 is good because you can feel like you can walk away if you have to, and you can also springboard into those other financial levels pretty quickly. If you I started off on a $100 something piano from Target. It was like one of those bundles. I think it was my sister's, and she just kind of gave it to me because she wasn't using it, so she was able to give it away to someone who wanted it, which was me. I used it for just a couple months before I quickly upgraded, but it was great. I don't think that was a bad idea at all. If I waited till I got the money for a more expensive one, which is the next tier we'll talk about, maybe I wouldn't even have played the instrument. I would have put it off for another 8 months or something. So if you're in between, I would say definitely get the $100 one, because that's better than waiting half a year just to maybe buy the upgraded one that you also might not do. So $100 tier, don't worry about it. It's totally fine, especially for a true beginner. The piano I recommend, in case you're just totally lost, I would say the Casio CTK 2500. I found one at Target for $99.99, so that's pretty good. I'll give you the caveat later of you might need to buy a chair and a stand, so we'll talk about some add-ons you might need to buy depending on how you buy your piano, but right now we'll keep it at just the piano and the price points. So $99. And yeah, that Casio name brand, it's really good. It's going to get you what you need, especially as a beginner or first time buying a piano. That's perfectly appropriate. Now, like I said, the pros, the price point and still being able to start with an instrument at a relatively low price is really great. And Casio name brand, you're going to be fine. The negatives, the cons. The cons are, it's not going to have the weight of an actual piano. So it's going to feel like it's going to have no action. Pretty much when you press it, it'll just press right away. It might not have any dynamic range, which means you can't press a note softly or hard. You can't get the piano forte, like those different dynamics, like a low sound and a high sound. You won't be able to get how you play it. It'll probably just output the note and it'll be correct, but it won't have any dynamic range. Other issue, a grand piano or considered like a full-size piano is 88 keys. The Casio CTK 2500 and many pianos at their price point, they'll cut off a little bit. You'll have 61, which again is good enough if you're just getting started, but if you really want that full experience, you're definitely not getting that at the $100 price point. I still think it's probably the best bet, because if you don't if you still are just barely learning how to read music and read notes, you don't really need all 88 keys. You'll be fine. The 61 will do you good for, you know, at least 6 months or a year, depending on how fast you improve, you know. So I think it's totally a great option. It's usually what I would recommend to a person just starting out, unless they know they definitely want to get into this, you know, semi-seriously, like with a very strong passion, and they really want to make the investment. I think doing the Casio CTK 2500 at $100, or finding something similar at $100, is a really great first option. Next up is the Yamaha YPG 535 portable grand piano. Now, this is on Amazon right now. It's priced at $549. Again, also disclosure, I don't have any. I'm not gonna get anything for naming the brands. I'm just trying to also give you links so you know exactly where you can get literally the exact model I'm talking about. You're free to find it anywhere else or at a local music store. Definitely, they should carry a lot of these brands. So, okay, this is a great piano because it gives you all the things you can't get at the $100, $150 price point. You got the 88 keys now. You have a full piano. You have some bells and whistles, some more effects, some more sounds. You get a little bit. You get some more weight. It's still not fully weighted, but you're going to be able to actually play with that dynamic range. Be able to play notes softly and they come out soft, and play them loudly and they come out loud. You'll be able to get all those types of things. It also has MIDI output, so if you really get into music, you can use it to record on a computer and it just gives you way more updates and upgrades. You can pretty much handle yourself in any situation. You can even start doing some playing out in public and things like that. It's probably going to be loud enough. You can get an amp and other add-ons to improve the experience, but it's a very good price point to be at, and those are the reasons why you'd want to get one there. You get one at $549. You pretty much wouldn't have to upgrade again unless you were actually pursuing this as a career. Then maybe it would probably be good to get some other things. It might not have everything you need for a professional career, but it will definitely have everything you need for just being passionate about the instrument and wanting to play the music you love. You'll be perfectly fine at the $500 to $700 range, and this $549 fits perfectly in there. Okay, now the cons. It's still not fully weighted, so that's an issue. And honestly, then it just becomes a matter of sound, aesthetic, and you know what you want. And we'll talk about the extra things you get at the next 2 price points. But really, it doesn't have too many cons besides the fact that it's not fully weighted. It's not going to feel like a grand piano, and other digital pianos will have a better feel when it comes to that action. So again, if you're a professional, that's where maybe this is not. Maybe you want to get a little bit more and get something that can do just a little bit more. But unless you're going professional, I think the $549 price range is really good. The reason you would do this over and just skip the $100 one as well is if you just want to buy it one time, you're pretty positive you are going to use it on a regular basis, or you want to make that financial commitment to kind of almost convince yourself to do it for sure. You might say, oh, if I'm at the $100 range, maybe I'll just say, this doesn't sound like a piano, doesn't feel like a piano. Forget it. Maybe you're the kind of person who says, you know what, let me just buy it one time. It's a good amount of money, but I'm gonna just drop the $549 and never have to drop another dollar into it, and I'm gonna be good. I'm gonna have everything I need, and I'm just can just play it, and the investment's done. That would be a good reason to jump into this price point. The only cons really in this price point, as I mentioned before, is the different types of bells and whistles. The action's not gonna be the same as a higher price pointed piano. So just depends if that really matters to you. If you're going for a professional career in it, maybe. This is if you don't have anything better than this is a good place to be. But if you already have something around this range or want something more, you'll have to spend a little bit more. All right, next piano is the Roland 88 key digital black piano FP30. Now this is also available on Amazon at $699.99, so essentially $700, right? Although I think shipping is free, so technically that might actually be on the nose. Roland is a great brand, just like Yamaha, but what this gives you is 88 keys. It's going to have a better action, better sound, and those kinds of things will matter to you more if you're going for a professional performance. You want to be using it at that kind of setting. Now, this range, actually, I don't recommend as much. I think it's really a situation where if you're at 5, maybe you should just go ahead and jump from 5 to 1,000. But if maybe that's just a bit too much and you're kind of frustrated with the sounds and you feel like you need to do an upgrade, this is a good piano. This is a good price range to be at. Again, really the cons here is just that it's not quite at the $1,000. I think you get a little bit more for that extra $200, $300. So it feels to me like more of a half measure than the 5 to the 1,000. So, but hey, sometimes that's where you're at, or you want a little bit more. This gives you a little bit more, but you'll probably still be that next price point away from really getting kind of everything you'd ever kind of want, essentially. Okay, and the final price point we're going to be talking about today, in terms of what I would recommend, is the Casio Priva PX55 88 key digital stage piano. So right there, it says it in the name, stage piano. So this is good because it's great for practice, it's great for home use, it's great for performances. It has a really, really good piano sound. It's got great action. It has everything you need for performing on stage. It has everything you need for recording on a computer. It's really just cream of the crop. You buy this, the only person who would possibly be interested in anything else is going to be like definitely a pro. $1,000, you're going to get everything you need. It's going to be phenomenal. It's going to work great. There's really not much else to say about it. It's a phenomenal piano, and anyone who has it's going to absolutely love it. So there's very few cons. Probably the only con I would say is it's still not a grand piano, like something like that. And maybe depending on, everyone's a little different. So maybe you're not going to like some of the sounds. You're not going to like the effects. You might not like the placing of, buttons, the placing of how to quickly navigate through the sounds. Little kind of, not petty differences, but little nuanced things that maybe a certain individual won't like. Maybe you're like, I don't know, I don't like how the knobs feel. I don't want to buy this. Something like that. But other than that, how it literally works, how it functions, how it performs, how it sounds, all those things are phenomenal, and for a beginner, I really don't recommend this. It's just too much money. At $1,000 it's a high price point for someone who hasn't learned where middle C is. Better off at that 100 to 500. This level's already kind of you should either be a pro, have enough expendable income where you're not too worried about it, or maybe you're not a pro, but you're super, super passionate. You want to release multiple albums and really create a lot of cool stuff. And you're really, really interested in using it as part of your workstation, your digital audio work, using it with your DAW, your digital audio workstation. You want to create beats, you want to create sounds, you want to play your compositions and upload them on YouTube, stuff like that. If this is a strong, strong passion, you're like a weekend warrior when it comes to music, then yeah, this is something definitely to consider, and I'd take this over that $700 to $800 price range. To be honest, I'll just go with this and never have to upgrade again unless I really, really want to. This is a great spot to be in. Now, some other things to think about if you're 100% brand new to buying pianos. Here's a few quick tips just to double check. One, especially if you're a beginner, it's probably better to just buy it from a store. Yes, you can get some good deals on places like Craigslist, OfferUp, and eBay, but if you don't know that much, you might get confused. You might not even necessarily get scammed, but just didn't understand there's a few things you might also need. For example, these are digital pianos. They need a power outlet. If you're buying it used, maybe it doesn't come with one. Maybe you thought it did and it doesn't. So if you buy it from a store, it's always going to come with a power outlet unless it's used or something, and they'll definitely tell you, hey, do you have one? Because they know, especially stores like Sam Ash, Guitar Center, your local music store will definitely know what you need and make sure you get it. So that's something to keep an eye on. Make sure you have some kind of power outlet to power the piano. Also, you're going to need a chair. And you might want to just use a regular chair, but I definitely think a piano chair, piano bench, or even a drum chair is going to match and fit better. There's a big difference between sitting in a chair to read or write or just watch TV or eat compared to how you play. When you play, it's a very active situation, and you're using your hands, and you want to make sure that hand placement is balanced and you're not too high or too low. And a piano bench, and next thing I'm going to mention, a piano stand, will make sure that balance is there. Also, next thing, you need a piano stand. Pretty much all these pianos I've mentioned didn't come with a piano stand. On Amazon, they do this really nice thing, which I'm sure many of you already know, where they show you, hey, people who bought this also bought this. And what they have there for pianos, I'm looking at it right now actually, is they show you the chair, and they show you a sustain pedal, which is something else you probably will want. You don't necessarily need if you're a beginner, but if you're more than that, you definitely want a sustain pedal, which just lets you hold on to notes longer, and many songs have it written in that's part of playing the song. So sustain pedal, and sometimes they even have the piano stand. So you'll probably need a piano stand. So you need a piano stand, you need a piano bench, and you need some kind of power outlet. And then the fourth thing you would need is a sustain pedal. So don't worry, those things aren't too expensive. You can get bundles of that stuff. I don't recommend normally the bundles because sometimes they'll have a piano, for example, at Target for like $100, and it comes with all that. But usually that means that where the money got lost is in the piano, and that piano is going to be really bad. It's going to sound tinny, really fake, and you'll probably hate the sound. And yes, you'll have headphones, and you'll have a chair, and a power outlet and a sustain cable, but then a terrible sound that you don't want to play, that even the best musician could not get to sound good because it just sounds terrible. So just be careful with that. The power outlet should be very cheap if you have to buy it somewhere, a couple dollars. Like I said, most stores are going to have it. Piano bench and table, piano stand, and the piano chair. Those will run you combined less than $100, maybe $50. Those you can maybe get a little used. It might be okay. But those are things to consider when buying. Again, most stores will have that, and Amazon definitely has it suggested, so you can just get it there. And just keep that in mind if you're looking at the price. You might see that $500 and be like, oh, that's a little over my budget. Well, think, do you have a stand? Do you have a power outlet? Do you have a piano bench? If you don't have that, you probably have to add another $100 to what you're spending, and that might be enough where you're like, oh, maybe I need to go down to that. Just get the 100 and add those extra things and go from there. So keep that in mind. There are a couple extra costs, but if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to leave me a comment. I'm going to respond to every comment. Anyone who has a question, I'm here to help. I love that people want to buy pianos and are interested in getting into this world. It's super fun. I definitely think it's a worthwhile endeavor. So if you are uncertain or you're wondering, is it okay? Is it sure? And you don't want to ask in a store because you feel a little bit more awkward. You'd rather just shoot me a comment. I shoot it back to you. Let's do that. Go ahead. Leave a comment below, and I'll respond to it, and I'll help you out in getting the piano that you need. Okay, so that's all I have for you today. I hope you've enjoyed this piano buying guide, and I'll see you on the next video.